Hello, welcome to another episode of the GARF Network. I'm Eric.
And I'm Matt.
And we've got a very special broadcast tonight. Let's go ahead and bring on our guest host, Tina Romero. Hey, Tina.
Hi.
Hey, Tina.
Hi, guys. How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm great. I'm really happy to be here.
We're happy to have you.
Why don't you go ahead and tee us up? What do we got going on tonight?
Well, the GARF, the George A. Romero Foundation, is really kicking off this year. We've got some great stuff going on, and one of our pieces of media is the Daughters of the Dead podcast. It's something I wanted to do. It's sort of been brewing in my mind for a long time. My dad, I miss him every day. I love him so much, and I've been wanting to kind of dig into my family history. And, my immediate blood family is not the hugest, but my film fam is pretty extensive. So I wanted to start with the children of my father's collaborators, the kids that I was hanging out with when my dad was on set, when our parents were on set. And I have some really, some of the nearest and dearest women. They are sisters for life. I've got some really cool people here today. We got Kate Rogal, Zoe Reiniger, and Lia Savini. And they're all here. We're gonna chat. We're gonna reminisce and chat it up.
All right. So without any further ado, let's go ahead and bring on Zoe and bring on Kate. Hi, everybody. How you doing?
Hi. Good.
Hey.
Happy to be here.
Yeah, we're so happy to have you ladies come aboard tonight. This is something we've been looking forward to when we first started talking about it. And I said, as a fan, it's always nice to hear from the people that worked with George. But what about, the kids, the people that grew up in this? Because you never hear it, and we know there's always got to be extra stories, and your perspectives are always going to be something that people cherish because it keeps us connected to your parents. And I know I've been really excited to sit here and listen to you ladies talk tonight.
Aw. Well, it was really honestly recording the podcast it was really fun. It was really fun to talk to all of you. It was so fun to reconnect, and we do sort of share a certain string of experience that's unique and worth talking about, I think.
We were all really weird kids.
Yeah.
Definitely. And Tina and we haven't seen each other in years and years and years. We've been connected on social media, but we haven't, at least since we were teenagers. So it was really like fun to connect, have this reason to, reminisce.
Yeah. Fun, but easy. It really truly is a family. That I feel like the Romero universe is a family, and everyone would say that. Everyone I talk to seems to say that.
One question I had was just for the three of you. How did you guys first meet?
Wow. Well, I know for one thing that Katie and I we met in the first year of our lives on the set of Day of the Dead.
Oh, yeah.
Literally. Yeah. In 84, 83 to 84, when we were literally on set together in the mines on Day of the Dead.
And apparently we both got really hurt on that set.
Yeah.
Tina hit her head and I scratched my eyeball somehow.
Yeah.
Who knew?
Maybe because no, I don't think, as you say in the podcast, we weren't neglected, but we were, we were
just on set, so we were busy hurting ourselves.
Yeah. And Zoe, I guess we must have met. Oh, actually, my mom and Zoe's dad went to college together. And
that's how my dad met George. And then Tina and her parents would come out to LA for a few months at a time when George was in post when we were kids. So I think, and there were a couple periods there around when we were 7, 8, when you guys were in town for a while. It was super fun.
Yeah, exactly. When I was in 7, 8, we were living out in LA. My dad was in post, and we actually auditioned LA. My dad always flirted with, should I be in Hollywood or Holly Weird, or should I not? And he ultimately in his heart was always opposed to it. But there was one moment when we were actually wondering about relocating, and he said, no, we got it. We got to stay back east. But we were out there for 2 years at a time, and I went to school out there, and I was so grateful to have a friend. I was so grateful to have Zoe. I was actually terrified of LA when I was little. It scared the shit out of me. The kids were playing handball. It was a totally different vibe. It was big, and it was different from good old Pittsburgh.
There's a rough handball scene in the school.
We didn't have handball in Pittsburgh, but
Really?
no. Katie, did you ever play handball?
No, not until I got older. We played like Foursquare, and yeah, we never had handball.
It was Foursquare. It was Foursquare.
That was an old thing.
Yeah, totally.
Tina, before we get too far along here, we do have an intro video from Lori Cardile. Do you want to go ahead and roll that?
Yeah, let's roll it.
Okay.
I know.
Love her.
Hi, Tina and Katie. Hi, everybody. Lori Cardile here, the proud mother of Katie, the proud kind of aunt of Tina. Oh, boy, these women. You know, I think you have daughters so that you can embarrass them. You're born to be embarrassing to your daughter. So I thought I would just say funny things about her. First of all, these two girls, women, excuse me, they are unbelievably talented. You know, you're going to hear from both of them in a big way. They are collaborators. They will be collaborators. They're bright, intelligent, and extremely talented. My daughter's an artist. She's an actress, and she's a writer, and an incredible, script writer. And Tina is also an incredible writer. She's a filmmaker, an incredible script writer, and she is an artist in her way. Also, she is a DJ, and the way she dresses up and has a great fan base. It's fantastic. So sorry, girls, I had to embarrass you. But anyway, I do want to say, I was thinking about some funny things that happened. Daddy just reminded me, Katie, about how Tina, you both learned to walk on the set, and how Tina started walking just a little bit before you, maybe a couple of weeks, and Daddy and I were really scared that you wouldn't catch up. Maybe there was something wrong with you. I'm sorry. That is so funny, though. When you have your first kid, it's like, oh my God, maybe they'll never talk. Maybe they'll never walk. But anyway, so Tina, you are ahead of Katie that way. And I do want to say that I know, Tina, you were talking about getting your head broken, your head getting smashed on the set and having to get stitches and stuff. And Katie gouged her eye out. She gouged her eye out, a little bit of a hyperbole there, but she scratched her iris, and we had to take her to a doctor, an eye specialist. But you were both so cute. You would play on the set, and you were so funny because two little babies playing on the floor, this dusty old mine, and how the zombies would come by with their makeup and half dressed and half bloodied, and it was like nothing. The juxtaposition of both of you, little babies on the set was so cute. And I loved every minute of it. I loved your mom, Tina. We had so much fun together, and all of our dinners, how we had great dinners at your dad and mom's house, and how we all grew up together, and how you and Katie went to school together and high school together. And well, it is a family, and I love you both, of course. And I'm proud of you women, and I can't wait for the new generations to see your work because it's remarkable. So Kate Rogal and Tina Romero, I love you. I love you, love you, love you.
The best. She never embarrassed me, ever. So embarrassed to have a mom that shouts out like that. Are you kidding me? I love attention. Go, mom.
Yeah, I know. Gosh, I'm gonna play that for myself every morning.
She's
It should
like
be
a
your
little
alarm clock.
I love my life. I love my mom. I love my dad.
Yeah. Oh my gosh.
Your
Yeah.
mom is the best.
Right now? Are you out in your apartment?
Yeah, I'm in my spooky apartment.
It's such a good, like, spooky vibe back there.
Thank you. I love spooky. It's my favorite. I had a candy like shoot out my window to give to kids, and someone stole it.
No.
New York, man. I felt like such an a-hole. Like I was sitting there and the tube just disappeared out the window.
You already had it ready for Halloween?
Yeah. I bought stickers on Amazon and everything.
Oh my gosh, that sucks.
Hey, I have a comment I want to share. Let me just put it on screen for you. It says, Lisa and Tina, as your 5th grade teacher, I can say you weren't weird. You were lovely. How cool is that?
Oh, that's so cool. Oh my
Really
god.
sweet. Well, at least you guys weren't weird. I guess I should just speak for myself.
Oh, absolutely. No, we're definitely weird. That's so cool. You know what? Mrs. Freeman just really made my entire year. When we were in 4th grade or 5th grade, I can't remember which one, but we had to do a guide. We read The Hobbit, and we had to do a guide to Middle Earth. And my dad and I really got into this assignment. Katie, were you there when we did this, or was this before you came?
I don't think so.
Yeah, okay. So Katie and I went to school together, maybe in middle school. This may have been before.
I came in 6th grade, so it must have been before that.
Okay. Well, in any case, we had to do a guide to Middle Earth, and I was sure I would never see this thing again because I let the teacher have it. It was something my dad and I worked extensively on. And anyway, Ms. Freeman just sent it to me this year, and it was like I have to get it just to show you guys. It's right here. Let me just walk into my cloffice. That's what I call my closet office.
While you're doing that, I'm just going to shut my window. Something going on outside.
I didn't see this coming up, but since this was our first comment, it's a Fedor's guide.
Oh my God.
Everything you need to know about Middle Earth.
Wow.
It is enormous. You would not believe some of the details in here. Anyway, I never thought I would see it again. And this is just kind of, this really speaks to my dad, because he was like the ultimate project fantasy guy. He was all about the details, and if we were going to do it, we were going to do it right, and we were going to make, we have an advertisement in here for like a clothing store. Let me see if I can find this. It's so epic. Like the clothing of Middle Earth. Oh my gosh, I can't believe I'm doing this, but it just came up because Cindy Freeman texted in. This really made my year. I don't know if you guys, my dad was a huge Tolkien fan. Huge. But look. All right, this is good. It's Sleepies. Let me get the camera here. And in for honeymoon on the banks of the water in Hobbiton. I don't know. Details. I diverge, but
Someone was asking, what did you at least get an A on the project?
What's a grade anyway?
Well, she thought enough to keep it. So
It's
I mean, you had to have gotten an A based on her keeping it. I'm sure you passed.
She kept it. I passed. But I never thought I would see it again. And it was one of the most meaningful projects. I mean, we worked for weeks on this together, and I loved doing it. I never thought I would see it again. It was so cool to receive this package.
What was your father's take on the Peter Jackson films?
Oh, he liked them.
Mm-hmm.
He wasn't mad.
Wasn't a hater?
He wasn't mad.
I must have been the only person that never read The Lord of the Rings in high school. Like, I didn't get really.
I've never seen it. I've never seen it or.
Yeah, I didn't get exposed to them until I was in college when the movies came out, and I was like, "This is awesome!" And someone's like, "You didn't read this?" And I said, "I've never read these books." So I was like, "Boy, I must have missed out in high school because I wasn't familiar with it at all until I saw the preview for the first movie."
I saw the movies, and then in college, I worked at the Boston Museum of Science for the Lord of the Ring motion picture trilogy, the exhibition.
Wow.
And that made me very sick of them because the same behind the scenes footage all day long and help people like take green screen photos where one of them was big and one of them wasn't like elf sized. It was a lot.
Oh man. Was there just like music playing the whole time in the exhibition? Yeah.
Yeah. Like when you welcome people, you have to say, "Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, and orcs and elves, to the Lord of the Rings motion picture trilogy, the exhibition."
Oh, the
I was always scared of Lord of the Rings because of how long it was. And I always thought like, okay, well, if I'm not being terrified, then I don't want to invest 3 hours.
it's a lot.
But I'm a
My-
fan, so.
Yeah, when the last movie came out, my wife and I did it was like they called it like Trilogy Tuesday. They showed all 3 movies back to back in the theater. So we were in the theater.
50
It
hours?
was like 12 to 13 hours.
Oh my
Mm.
God.
Yeah.
That is a major marathon of the day.
They gave us little breaks between each movie, but it was
Wow.
it was a long day.
Wow. Did you eat so many Sour Patch Kids?
I had at least 2 bags of popcorn, 2 big bags. I'll go with popcorn over the candy for a movie any day.
Oh,
But
okay.
yeah, I don't know if I could do that again. But there's a part of me that says if they offered it to me, if they said, "Hey, let's go watch," I'd probably be stupid enough to do it again because I love long movies. I'm a fan of long movies, and I'd do it again. But I don't know, my body might not be able to handle it.
I had a question for Zoe. We read many years ago that your father had been discovered he was the Prince of Gore. Did anything ever develop out of that situation?
It's like a very strange thing. I truly don't even remember how he discovered it, but basically our relative on the Reiniger side, Josiah Harlan, was the first Western man in Afghanistan. And so he was like given a title. I'm sure there's a lot of super problematic colonialism going on there, but basically what it means is my dad is technically the prince of this random province in Afghanistan called Gore. So royalty in Afghanistan, which is very lucrative and fruitful, as you can tell from the mansion. It's nothing more than like a funny fact that I like to trot out. That's like if I'm ever doing an icebreaker that's like, what's one fact people don't know about you? I like to toss that guy out.
So you are a princess of Gore?
Yeah.
I am a princess, I believe.
Yeah.
Wow.
You summer in Gore now. That's
Yeah,
what you do.
Yes.
The chalet in Gore.
Yes. I remember reading that. And I was like, he is a Prince of Gore. I said, how random is that? And I remember when that news broke out, and that was before social media. So all the web forums and stuff were having a fun time with that. And I think some of us were hoping something would come of it. Like we would see your dad with like a crown or something on, and
Suddenly he's worth $1 billion.
Definitely not worth $1 billion. Yeah, it was a funny fact that like I truly don't. I think it's just someone picked it up somewhere and it like spread. And my dad was like, I don't even know how this is a thing, but it's a thing.
Wow. Amazing.
I have a question for Kate. How large of a presence was Chiller Theater when you were growing up, and at what point did you become aware of your grandfather's Pittsburgh legacy?
Oh my gosh, I knew from the beginning. I was so proud of my grandpa. I would like tell anybody about him. I mean, we always growing up, it was just a huge part of our lives, and the stories that came from my grandfather live on to this day. Yeah, it was like living and breathing. Chiller Theater was just a huge part. And my grandfather always had really good stories, and specifically those stories, but just stories in general. And so we got introduced to chiller theater just naturally by having him as our grandfather. It was like chiller theater all the time.
You watched it all the time?
The first thing I actually ever saw was the reunion, because I don't think, it's not that I wasn't allowed to watch it. My parents were always very free about that stuff, but I don't think I think I kind of took it for granted as a kid until I got older, and there was the reunion, and I watched that, and then I went back and started watching some older episodes because I actually got more interested in it. You know how it is when it's your family, you just kind of, you take for, I'm like, all parents are like this, or all grandparents are like this, and then you start to branch out and realize, oh no, this is what makes my family unique and wonderful.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, totally.
Yeah. So as a father of a now 10-year-old daughter, is there an age when you stop? I tell my kids what I'm doing. They're like, okay, dad, whatever. Is there an age where that stops I like to think I do cool stuff, and I think this is a very cool thing. My daughter's like, yeah, dad, whatever, go downstairs. Is there an age where that starts to become cool? Like, was there an age where you guys decided like what my parents or grandparents did was really cool?
I always thought that what they did was cool, because I pretty early on, like, you know, my mom was an actress as well, and they used to take me to rehearsals at the, you know, they did a lot of theater, so they would take me to rehearsals, the shows they were doing, and so I kind of, like, it's very much in my DNA to gravitate towards that, and so I always thought it was cool, but I didn't didn't think it was like a big deal. I was just like, oh yeah, this is what my parents do, and they have cool jobs.
Yeah.
Yeah, same. Same. Ditto that. I always thought my parents were really cool. I mean, to this day, I still think my mom is cool. Right before the thing started, I was like, I love that bitch, spelled B-I-S-H. I love her so much. She's the coolest.
Yeah.
That's for what she believes in, and she's so talented. And all of our parents, I mean, I can only hope to stand in her shadow.
Well, Matt, I feel like I definitely was, I really woke up to what was going on when Bruiser happened. It was when Bruiser was, I was 16. And that was, I feel like it was after a lull in my dad's career. It had been several years before he made a film, and I had started to get into filmmaking myself. And I was old enough to really get the work that was going on. I got to be on set a lot more often for that shoot. And that was, I don't know. I remember that was the shoot when I was like, oh, wow, I have so much to learn from this. Whereas before it was sort of like, okay, going to work with dad and mom. It wasn't, so 16, that's my answer for you. My mom would say maybe that 16 was also when I started to get mean in the morning though. So I don't.
Oh, my daughter's way ahead of you on that age. She's already there.
Maybe 20, 21, you know, around there.
All right, so no time soon. Got it. I'm taking it.
Yeah, you got some time.
Just be yourself, man. That's what I'll go.
Yeah, I figured there's going to be some day where it's just going to click and my kids are going to want to do what I do or watch what I do. And I was like, you know what? I'm going to ask these ladies this tonight. I was like, was there an age where it was like, it was cool to have a cool parent? And so I'll show this to her then. Maybe it'll resonate.
Like, is this cool? Watch this video.
Yeah. Yeah.
Matt, I'm surprised you didn't take the bait with the Bruiser comment. As you know, Matt's kind of a Bruiser fan. If he is the Bruiser fan.
I mean, Bruiser is a special kind of gem.
Mm-hmm.
It's a special gem. Mm-hmm.
Absolutely.
No, I put that in my back pocket for later, Eric. That's
yeah. Save it for a rainy day.
Save it for a rainy day.
Yeah.
Well, speaking, regarding the film industry, what was each of your parents' opinion in regards to exposing you to it? And also, were you naturally just drawn to it and interested in being a part of it? Start with Kate.
Oh, yeah, my mom always encouraged any sort of artistic endeavor I wanted to do, whether it was painting a painting or dyeing my hair or getting into acting, anything that was in the artistic field. My parents were always very, very, very supportive. So yeah, they always encouraged me to do what I wanted. And I kind of drifted towards that because that was what my mom loved. And yeah, stuck with it, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and I'd say my parents were also always very supportive of all artistic endeavors. But growing up in LA, so many people's parents work in the industry, so it doesn't feel special or weird. It's just like, okay, yeah, this is the industry of this place that I grew up in. But there was definitely a point when I was younger where I wanted to start going out on auditions. Like even though I'm not an actor anymore, for most of my life, I wanted to be an actor. I knew very early that's what I wanted to do. And so I said to my parents, hey, like, I want to go out on auditions. And they said, absolutely not. You are not going to be a child actor. You're going to go to school. I think once they said like an arbitrary rule of you can go to auditions when you can drive yourself. But then by that time, I was old enough to know that I did not want to be a child actor. So that was a very hard decision on their part. And then eventually I went to college for acting. And of course, they were very supportive, but they very smartly did not let me do that as a kid.
Yeah.
I would go ahead, Eric.
Oh, I just wanted to say we've got someone in the green room, Miss Leah Savini.
Hi.
Yay!
Hi, Leah.
Hey.
Hi. Sorry.
Hi.
Hi.
Yes. Oh, hi, Leah.
So,
Oh, so good to see you.
hi.
You're so pretty.
Hi.
Everyone's so pretty. Matt and
I
Eric.
just got off work. Oh, real life, you know.
Exactly. Oh, this is so cute.
What did I miss? Anything amazing yet?
Well, we've just been catching up, Eric.
Actually, I'll go ahead and we have a question for you. Let's see. Had a question about for Leah, what age was your son exposed to who your father was in the horror industry? And
Well, I have two boys now. So I have James, who's 18, and then I have Carson, who's 5. And so James, you know, whenever I had James, we lived with my dad still. So he was always around it, just like, you know, I was. So I guess from day one. Carson, this is Carson here.
Hi.
Hi, Carson.
Hey, Carson.
So he initially fell asleep on our ride home. So he was going to be sleeping, and he's not now. So Carson is now slowly getting to know Pap and all of his tricks, and definitely gets scared by him pretty often. He just posted a video of Carson running from his new Halloween decoration that's actually like a doghouse in the backyard. And it has the most creepy dog that comes out and hi. Okay, Carson, now we have to go, okay? Are you gonna he's watching right now his favorite cartoon is the Addams Family, the animated one that just came out. Yeah. He likes the song.
Yeah. Carson, does Pap Scare you?
Yeah. Pap Tommy.
What does he do?
Scare you? What did Pap Tommy get?
I don't know.
The dog. What was his name? Bubba.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He had a scary dog in a doghouse?
Yes, it's on his Instagram. It's pure evil.
Oh my goodness. Halloween decorations. I mean, his house is always decorated like Halloween, but I mean, I feel like around Halloween, it's just like amplified by a million.
He currently has maybe a 20. Yeah, go with people. He has a 20-foot skeleton outside of his house right now in Bloomfield. 20-foot tall, like skeleton. The eyes light up and follow you.
So he went to Home Depot and got that skeleton, didn't he?
Yes, he sure did.
I was told.
Has it.
I was told I was not allowed to get that this year, so I'm gonna try again next year.
My friend put on her kid's head, like put the huge head on her kid's head, and like he walked around with it, and it was worth the $200.
We have a skeleton on our porch that I kind of wrapped flowers around, and it's there all year at my house. A little bit brighter, you know, less scary and horror around this side of things. Are we ready to watch it?
Year-round Halloween.
Bye, Carson. Say
No
bye.
reason to go.
Okay, you can come back.
I wear my Halloween gear all year.
Yeah, I know. Me too. I love it. I was actually one of my favorite things talking to Leah when we did the podcast. I was so tickled by the fact that Leah, that your dad carried magic tricks around, and that
Yeah.
because that's something my dad did too. And then the fact that you were like, yeah, actually, just when I was rolling up today, he had a remote control cockroach coming down the sidewalk at me.
Oh, you were there today?
What?
You were there today? Did you?
No. What you said when we spoke on
yeah.
podcast, you were like, yeah, when I got here today, there was a remote control cockroach coming down the sidewalk.
Yeah, it's right here. Carson actually has it.
Really?
So Carson.
That's
Sorry,
kind of
this is going to be a very interactive experience on our end.
Word out.
And if it becomes overwhelming, I'll sign out. But I don't know, honey. Here, it's right here. It's right here. I'm so sorry.
You love it.
Here.
But I feel like your dad is such a prankster and a little kid, even at this, he's still going.
Oh, there it is.
Yeah,
There's a cockroach.
Oh my God.
Might be.
Oh,
Yeah. It might actually be one of the things he enjoys most now because he has more time to actually enjoy his friends and enjoy the family, to do these things to torture us pretty much. Growing up, he would go flash paper at my friends, and always my friend Jamie, I told her, I know whenever I talked to you, Tina, I said my friend Jamie peed my bed at like 12 years old because my dad scared her so bad when she stayed over.
So for those of us who don't,
What did he do?
Who don't know what flash paper is, what is flash paper for
So
people?
flash paper is a tissue paper that as soon as you touch it to fire, it glows like it's a big fireball. So you can throw it and then it disintegrates right in the air.
Future stunt man.
Well, yeah, no. I feel like if there is, so my older son James, kind of on the same page as I am about entertainment industry, meaning it scares like the crap out of us as far as it being so unknown, and seeing some of that, like Tina, I know we talked about it too, is the dry spells in between of jobs. The job security. I had James at such a young age that I just job security and working in in a regular field of things.
Yeah.
But I think Carson might break that little spell there because he's a character. He loves to entertain. He's a comedian, I think. I don't know.
Well, we were actually, just before you came in, we were talking about that. We were talking about like whether our parents.
What's everybody doing?
Or what like how did our parents feel about us getting into the creative field or not? Or their thoughts. And so it's funny that you bring that up. So you've got a ham on your hands. Is that what I'm hearing?
I think so. I don't know. I don't know yet. We'll see what happens.
Yeah.
So you are in entertainment.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
What are you guys doing?
Have you ever, who here has met? Katie,
I've not met either of these ladies.
You've never met?
No. Well, maybe.
I met like way back when at some museum function, like randomly.
Yeah.
I'm sure that we probably all crossed paths at conventions.
Right.
I've never been to a convention.
What?
I've never been to one with my dad.
Oh, they're the best.
I know. He loves going,
No,
but
you
I've
have
never
to
been able to go.
It's a lot of fun, and I mean that's one thing of growing up and being a young age, always being at the conventions, always being around all the adults, all the actors, all the scary stuff. Seeing GARF perform at conventions, that's worth it alone. You have to see it sometime.
Yeah. No, I love the conventions too. I do love them.
Well, because they're the fans are all in.
They're all in.
Those fans are all in for
Yeah.
sure. You either have, the people who have no idea, Tom Savini, George Romero, you know, these guys existed. But then for the people who do know, it's huge. It's huge. And
Yeah.
it's so crazy to see. Because
Yeah.
I feel like I feel like I grew up kind of normal. I don't know. Do you guys feel the same way? Like it's just normal to you?
Yeah.
Absolutely.
100%. 100%. This is just the normal.
Yeah.
Yeah. I was telling Tina on the podcast that I didn't realize that Dawn of the Dead was like such a big deal. Like I saw it the first time when I was a teenager. And again, growing up in LA, it's like, yeah, my dad's in a movie, so what? No big deal. And it wasn't until college that I started to understand. And I remember I went to Emerson College for theater, but they have a big film program. And I walked into someone's dorm room and he had a Dawn of the Dead poster. And I was like, oh. Interesting.
It's a thing.
Yeah.
Thing.
I got my Day of the Dead t-shirt. The other day I was looking at because I'm so bored these days during the pandemic, I was looking at vintage t-shirts on eBay. And there was one that was a Day of the Dead one, and it's like $225. Like, are you kidding me? I have one of those in my closet. 20 of them.
Yeah, the vintage t-shirt thing on Facebook is out of control, and I'm like, no t-shirt is worth $200.
Oh shit! T-shirts worth more than $50. I'll tell you what.
I remember when I was a kid, my dad had his Knight Riders jacket in our house.
Wow.
Wish I knew what happened to it, but I like very much remember that hanging in the hall closet.
Oh, that is cool. That I've never
Knight
seen.
Rider's like a crew jacket.
No, his costume.
Oh yeah.
Oh wow.
My
Yeah.
father
Marhol.
still has the
I'm not
costumes
sure
too.
it would be $200 for a t-shirt on eBay, but it has to be the right one.
Yeah, I probably would too.
Yeah,
I mean-
I probably would too.
It would have to be around like that good money time of the year though, where we buy
Oh,
ourselves
for
presents.
sure. And like every month, all that stuff.
It would have to be really good. But, wow, that's cool, Zoe, that the original Knight Rider jacket. So our parents were both. My mom had a pretty big role in Knight Riders too. That's
That's one of my favorites.
it is.
Knight
That's-
Riders is because it's
That-
so. I mean, whenever I used to cry, but I guess now I haven't watched. When's the last time I watched it? Because now that I think about it, my dad has some sexy scenes in it, and it's kind of weird. But I used to watch it really young, and it was one of my favorites. I don't know.
Knight Rider's dope.
You don't think about it at the time, I guess, but
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, speaking of long movies, Matt, that's
Yeah.
a long.
It is. Yeah, I had said to Eric, I said, I think 40% of that movie is Ed Harris laying down shirtless. Because I was going through it looking for something, and I was on like 4 times speed, and I said, is Ed Harris still laying down with his shirt off? I walked away, made dinner, and I came back, he was still sitting down. I was like, yeah, this needs trimmed.
My dad would say that's one of his. My dad would say that's his favorite film. Of his.
really,
And he always said that Ed Harris was a dream to work with, and he was super intense and super method, and it was his idea to whip himself with a stick in the water.
Yeah,
wow.
Yeah,
Yeah,
your dad always talked highly of Knight Riders. That always comes up as a personal favorite.
Wow.
That Day of the Dead and Martin were always on
Yes,
his.
Those are the 3.
Yep, those were the 3 that George absolutely loved the most, and you can hear it in his voice when he would talk about it.
Yeah.
You could just hear, anytime he talked about, he would talk about Tom or Lori or, Scott with Dawn. You could hear his voice change when he talked about people. And, that's what, I personally loved. I know other people did too, is just how much George loved everybody that he worked with. And you said it's a family. I mean, Eric and I have known each other almost 20 years. And here we are doing a show like this because we love George. We love Lori and Scott and Tom because you guys have given us, entertainment, and we've built this network of a non-blood family of people that we can just sit and relate to and just talk, and George's movies to me were a gateway to everything else horror because I started with George and branched out. So that's, part of the reason I revere George as much as I do and everybody else, because all of your folks have just been,
I gotta admit, Matt, my gateway was Tom. Tom led me to George.
Yeah, I know a lot of people did.
Mhm.
I know Tom was, a big gateway. I didn't know who Tom was until well after the fact. But it's just neat when you look
I
back.
saw Scream Greats before I saw Dawn of the Dead.
Yeah, a lot of people saw that.
Movie. I think it probably was Day of the Dead because it infiltrated me on such a deep level at such a young age. And now, like horror movies and horror in general, it's such a huge part of what I find entertaining. Yeah, definitely for me, Day of the Dead, which obviously, it was a huge part. What about you guys? What was your like horror movie that got you hooked?
I'm scared to death of things. I was saying before, zombie. I have zombie nightmares like crazy. I don't know if it is from growing up around it or not, but if I'm watching a zombie movie, I know I'm going to have this reoccurring zombie nightmare while I'm in Bloomfield. I'm at my dad's house. I know which roof I have to jump off of to get to here. And if I don't make it around this corner, a zombie's going to be over there. And it's so mindful, suspenseful movies. I think we talked about Signs.
Oh my God.
Signs freaked me out. So more things that could be real.
Mm-hmm.
In that sense, like that really scares me. But other than that, the reoccurring zombie nightmares. So it's a thing.
The first one that I really remember before was Buffy, actually.
Which one?
Buffy the Vampire Slayer.
Oh, that was my favorite.
Girl.
That's like the exact right time, right? Like I think the show started when I was 12 or something.
Uh-huh.
It was so good.
You show. Ready for that Vampire Slayer?
I'm talking about the movie. I'm old.
Oh yeah, I liked the movie too. But I liked the show better.
Yeah, the TV show, but with Legend too. Any of like Dark Crystal, any of those movies.
Dark Crystal.
Oh, Legend.
I guess they're not really horror movies, but Dark Crystal was scary.
Dark Crystal
makes
me clutch the pearls to this day.
You don't watch it?
No, I love it. No, it makes me clutch the pearls. It makes me go, oh my God. Wonderful.
Yeah.
Legend, Tim Curry. Oh my God, my sexual.
Tom Cruise was my first crush. I would definitely not crush on him now, but when he lived in a forest, I think that's why I like being in the woods so much. I don't know.
That's why I love Norman Fishnet so much.
Yeah. I don't know. Secret of Moon really fucked me up. Willow did a number on me, and then
Willow.
The ultimate for me was Jaws.
Jaws.
It's Jaws. It's all about Jaws. Yeah. I mean, my dad. I feel like I saw Jaws before I saw any of my father's films. He showed me.
Jaws made me scared of the bathtub.
What?
Jaws made me scared of the bathtub.
Oh, me too. Katie, me too. I don't like to take a bathtub alone still. I want a lifeguard. I am short. If I'm in a swimming pool alone in the
evening, think you're going to get eaten by a shark.
There is absolutely a Jaws coming out of the light at the end of the deep end. Like, Jaws is everywhere for me. Yeah.
Do they still have the Jaws ride in LA?
For sure.
At the LA Universal? I'm not sure.
Oh my
God!
God!
Not at the Universal in Florida anymore, and that's sad.
No, I don't think it's there anymore. I think they got rid of it.
No.
What?
I think that was just within the last 10 years they got rid of the Jaws rides at both the Universal parks.
Because we're getting old.
I'm so old.
Bummer. That's such a bummer. Well, I mean, Jaws really got, and actually Zoe and I talked a little bit about this in our episode, the idea of creating suspense, like less is more, showing less. Jaws did that so well, and wow, just a little bit of music and a little bit of POV camera work, you can terrify the shit out of people. It's so powerful.
Pick them up.
Tina, I have some pictures. Did you want to maybe narrate some of these?
Oh my God! Let's see. Okay, let's see.
Okay, let's go. Here we go.
Okay, so all right. So this is me and my dad. So when I think of this picture, my dad was not a disciplinarian. Okay, he was not. He was not someone who was putting me in timeout if I did something wrong. He was. What we would do is we would go to somewhere private and have a discussion. We called it a discussion. We would go and have a discussion. And we would discuss. So, like, for example, if I colored on the wall with crayons. We would go and sit somewhere and talk about why that maybe wasn't the best idea. And he always was very diplomatic and calm and like, let's just talk about what happened here. And so this picture always reminds me of that. Like, I feel like we're having a discussion in this moment. I don't know what went down in this. I don't really actually know the context of this picture, but I love it because it made me think of us having a discussion.
He's wearing some very fresh wallabies.
Oh, yeah.
Dark brown suede. I like them.
He had legs for days. He could really, he could rock a shoe and a sock for sure.
Your father had very refined tastes. He liked what he liked.
He liked what he liked, and then he wouldn't change for, yeah.
All right.
He
So we got it.
Yeah. Okay, so this is just to emphasize how tall he was. I just, like literally have to. But also my dad, this picture to me is all about him, just his gentleness. He was the most gentle creature, and he instilled in me a love of all creatures. And, be a good guy, be a kind guy, be good to animals, be good to humans. And we both had a very deep love of animals, as I know you do too, Katie. And actually, Zoe too, and Leah, all of us love animals. I mean, who doesn't, I guess, but some people are less keen on them than others. But when my dad, we had a bit of a menagerie growing up, perhaps to the dismay of my mother. We at one point in our lives, we had 2 cats, a dog, a ferret, a bird, and a hermit crab, all in the same house. And our ferret, we had a ferret who roamed free. He was not in the cage. He just roamed free.
That's a lot of fun. So they steal things all the time.
He stole a lot. Yeah. He stole pill bottles, cash, snacks. Yeah. Crazy. But my dad loved animals, and I think he helped me love animals. And yeah, we were just buds. I don't know what to say. We were buds. We were deep buds.
Again, very well dressed.
Again, yes, looking fly in that like sweat t-shirt.
Gotta love the 80s.
Yeah. God, such good bash. Yeah. Okay. Yep. There he is. Oh, okay. So,
that's
right. So this is one of the most dramatic Halloweens of my life, actually. I think everyone thought it was super cute to do the little Riding Hood story, but I could not handle my father in this wolf head. It was too much for me. I was beside this picture. I look very happy, but I think this is like, I couldn't handle it. I could not handle this wolf head. I cried until we took it off, and my dad was excited that he got the wolf head. It was a big production to get this wolf head, and I couldn't handle it. I begged him to take it off. This was a deep.
That's kind of a scary wolf head.
It's very scary. Come on, look at that. And he was so big. Again, he was so tall. But look at my mom with the bonnet. Come on.
I have to say, my parents and I also did like family Halloween costumes, just the 3 of us when I was younger. And I didn't realize that was not a thing that all families did. I was just like, yeah, of course.
What you do. This is what you do. Oh my God. I love it when families do this. But this one was too much for me. I couldn't handle it. Okay. So this is on the set of Dark Half. This is on the set.
No way. Matt, we were just there.
Yes, we were.
Yeah. Okay. So on this day, I had a very small role in this film. This is the beginning of the film when Thad Beaumont has his first pass out aneurysm.
Yes.
And he falls down. I run to the bus and I say, Miss Hall, there's something wrong with Thad Beaumont. On this day, I was puking. I had such a bad stomach. I was sick as fuck. I was so sick. And my mom said to me, she takes me aside and she says, Tina, because there's also a school bus. We're running to the school bus on this scene. We're on our way to get on the school bus, and the school bus had kids on it. And she said, Tina, there are 20 kids on that bus who would kill for this role. You got to get it together, do your line. And that was my lesson about showbiz. There's so much go on. And I did it. I did the line. And you know what? I had to go in the studio to do ADR. And as a result, every year I get a residual check for about $8.50.
Nice.
Those are fun.
Roll.
That's mine, girl. I get some for like a penny.
Yeah.
This one's Leah's.
Yeah.
That was quick. I had made that collage, I think, for maybe it was Father's Day, and that was the first thing I saw on my phone for a picture. So there's a bunch of stuff going on in there. If you notice in the lower left-hand corner, there's a picture of my mother and my father with his 80s perm. They had matching perms. We're talking about style and stuff. They were going to Epcot at Disney and dressed in these. He had a suit on and she had this beautiful dress, but they both had perms.
Aww. What's the pie in the face picture? Is that a pie in the face? What is that?
Yes. That was a thing too. Smashing pies in each other's faces for different reasons. And that one, I think my son James smashed in his face. And there's a video of it somewhere.
Is he the one who started that on Dawn of the Dead? Is it your dad that started that whole scene? I know that wasn't scripted. I'm pretty sure that pie in the face scene was not.
Probably. It sounds about right. It sounds like something he would definitely do.
Yeah.
What's going on with the? Looks like he has a cutting board with a pizza on it.
Pizza. He always does the homemade pizza. I don't know if you've all had it before, but if you've ever visited the house, he most likely will have the oven on and a pizza going, or pasta, or something. Pepperoni bread. He does all that stuff.
A true Italian.
He needs to retire and open up his own shop and call it Savini Slices. A friend of mine, Pat, made me a T-shirt as a joke, and it's him with a machete and a pizza, and it's called Savini Slices. But he always thinks
That's clever.
Colorism.
You could cut the pizzas with the machetes.
Looks like that's pretty recent based on his face mask.
Yeah, it was. That's how I was getting delivered pizza during quarantine. I worked through the whole thing, so we really tried to keep him safe a lot of times because I'm around a lot of people. So, he was our main concern during the quarantine and will be if we go back into it.
Yeah.
Again, you got to protect our guys.
Yeah. You gotta. Yeah.
Yeah, so there's pictures of James in there and Carson in that collage.
Is that James holding Carson in the bottom?
Yes.
Oh.
Yeah.
Very cool.
Also very good friends, like you were saying, Tina, too, about growing up and the disciplining, and it was more like talking to a friend.
Yeah.
Definitely. More, not a disciplinary, but more of a fun, adventure partner, adventure friend.
Yeah, someone you can relate to.
Yeah. Lots of words of wisdom, but also just fun and enjoying every moment.
Playfulness. Yeah. Yeah.
What are we looking at here? What is this? That looks
God. Yeah. Nah. This is my little, this is what I'm working on right now. This is what I'm working on. This is my feature called Queens of the Dead.
Okay.
This is me taking the torch and taking it to my world. And, I got to talk to my dad about it before he passed. I did get to talk to him about it. And he was psyched. He was psyched to pass me this torch, and he knew I was going to be a little different than him. I was going to take it in a bit of a different direction, but it's still, I cannot deny I still have the Romero in me. And I think that, as long as it's silly, as long as it's smart, as long as it's talking about what's going on in the world, he would say it's a good zombie film. And as long as the zombies don't run.
So Tina's the queen. The real queen of the dead.
Yeah. So Queens of the Dead is my take on the zombie apocalypse through the lens of queer Brooklyn nightlife.
Okay.
You know, so we've got a cast of queens and queerdos and the whole spectrum of identity, dealing with how to get out of New York during a zombie apocalypse.
With, you know, real life and time sensitive, like how it would be for real, and an honest thing. That's how your father made, like, even the horror movies, they all have like a backstory and like a hidden, like, not agenda, but what do I want to say, a hidden message, or like a different message coming behind it. It wasn't just all about the splatter or the zombies.
Yeah,
that's awesome.
It's like a time capsule. It's sort of like it's a way to look at what's going on. And, you know, I mean, we are approaching a really crazy week in our country. Like we are about to be in a really crazy time. It's about to get so crazy. And
I don't know what's scarier, zombies or people right now.
Exactly. Exactly. And isn't that the whole question all the time?
Is that what we're really doing? Is this the zombie apocalypse? Is this how it is?
Truly. I mean, and the anger, the rage, the tribalism that exists right now is eating each other. It is the zombie film out there right now. It's so crazy. It's so crazy. I don't know. I feel like I wish I could talk to my dad about it, but he would just probably say we're fucked. I
feel like I'm not leaving Canada ever again. See you later.
Well,
I'm not leaving Canada ever again. See you later.
He would be like, "Yeah, I'm glad I'm in Canada." Yeah.
That's what I was kind of thinking. He already made that move.
He made that move. Something in his gut said, "I gotta go." Yeah.
Right.
Way ahead of his time. Yeah. Anyways. Yeah. Yeah.
Well, Tina, you'll have to keep us up to date on that project. I can't wait to find out more. That's super exciting.
Yeah, I mean, if it weren't a pandemic, it might be easier to shoot, but.
So you have it written, everything.
Yeah, I do. And so, you know, now with the next, we'll see what happens. We'll see what happens in the next few months. I mean, I'm dealing with drag queens and nightclubs and.
I'll come be a drag queen.
Brooklyn, oh my. You know, it's not exactly a very pandemic friendly shooting situation.
I'm volunteering Matt. He'd love to be a drag queen.
Only if I can keep the beard.
Of course.
Of course.
Okay.
Yeah,
Then sign me up. All right. I'm on my way.
Over. You
I'll
can
do your makeup.
at the same time, girl.
All right. I'm game. I won't say no. Now, I know, you know, we were talking about what Tina was working on, and Leah said she was working through the pandemic. But Kate, we just saw you on TV recently.
Oh, God, yes. In the state, yeah, you have. Yeah. I have a State Farm commercial running right now. So I'm like a butcher in a butcher shop.
Yeah.
It's silly, but it's fun.
From what I understand, if you get in a really popular nationally syndicated commercial, I mean, those can really pay off well. I mean, have you experienced any of that from this go round?
Yeah, I made a couple bucks, you know. In the my dad always said he likes to do the least amount of work for the most amount of money, and that's definitely where that's at in this. In the entertainment world, commercials are the way to work the least and the most, I guess. But it's a crapshoot. Like, it really is a lottery. You have to go to so many cattle calls and do so many embarrassing things. When I first started out, I did an audition for a Wheat Thins commercial. Where, get this, I had to go in a bikini and pretend like I was eating Wheat Thins out of the air.
No.
And that commercial actually ran for a while. And every time I saw it, I was like, I auditioned for that, and I didn't get it.
Why the Wheat Thins they're so good for you and low in calorie that you can just eat them right out of the air? Is that the idea?
I honestly don't even remember the concept, but all I remember is a bunch of like and really committing to that too, and being embarrassed, but like committing to being like, terrible. It's so horrible.
Wow.
And Zoe, you're working with films, but you're more behind the scenes in terms of film festivals and stuff. So you've got a different perspective. How's that been going for you through all of this and in general?
Yeah, I work for SF Film, which produces the San Francisco Film Festival, and I've also worked for a bunch of different film festivals. I worked with Sundance, LA Film Festival, AFI Fest, and it has certainly been a whirlwind. I feel really lucky that I still have a job and I can still do what I do. We basically just had to pivot almost immediately. Our festival is typically in April. And so we canceled it on March 13th. And then the following Monday was when San Francisco went into shelter in place. And so essentially in a span of 2 weeks, me and my colleagues had to figure out how to move all of our operations online. And we started doing online Q&As like these. I mean, I would say beforehand that like I've produced many of these, but I've never been on this side of it. So it's very strange to be on camera and not behind the camera with my video off. But I feel really lucky that I can keep doing the work, and we're just trying to figure out, like, make our best guess for how things are going to go over the next year and put stuff online.
Yeah, it's a tough time, but you know what? We're all adapting, and we're still working. We're still finding new ways to do the things we love to do. So it's always nice to see how we can adapt and how we can make the most of these situations. And it's been a tough time, but stuff like the pandemic, I take what we're doing here now is probably the most positive, because we're getting a chance to sit down. You ladies are getting to connect with one another and getting to reconnect, and finally getting to share some stories and making the most out of the time where we can't go to the beach or go on vacation or travel. And this has been the best part of the pandemic for me, hands down. I love doing this stuff, and I know Eric has been too. We've been busy with the Romero Live stuff this month, and this has been like our grand culmination of everything. And we were really excited when we were like, Tina's going to do Daughters of the Dead, and I'm like, yes, it's something different and a new perspective on everything that we do. And I'm just super grateful, and I know Eric is too, that you ladies are hanging with us tonight to share stories and connect.
And I'm super grateful too. Yeah,
I love it.
I feel like my dad would say that, I know that obviously, like, oh my God, Tom and my dad, in fact, I didn't know this until, and it's funny how when somebody, I've heard this, that when you learn so much about somebody after they pass away. And I learned so much about my dad after he passed away. It's sort of sad in a weird way. But Leah, your dad spoke. He came to Toronto and he spoke at the memorial, and he spoke about how he and my dad had a secret, like, cricket call on set when they needed each other. They would like do a little whistle. I can't imitate it, but that's how they knew when they would meet each other. They would do, like, has he ever told you about this, Leah?
I don't think so.
They had some kind of weird, like, whistle cricket call that was like their signal for one another.
Okay.
And I was so moved by that, because my dad and your dad,
They definitely had a different connection. They had a really
huge
understanding, and I think that they seemed just very similar, very, the way you talk about your dad and the comfort, and that's what I said too. Like, if I was young, I don't remember many things about being around your dad, but what I do remember is a warmth and a comfort and like a family. Oh, well, there goes my life. But just a family feeling, a feeling of family. And I think that your father, my father, trusted each other differently, and they kind of viewed things a little bit different. I'm turning the light back on. Sorry, I'm all over the place here.
Live TV, folks.
Live. I don't even know. Here we are. Okay, so
yeah, exactly. And I think also with, I know that with Lori and with Scott, there was a lot of trust there as well. And I remember reading something about Frank Malerba, who runs a brand called Cryptic Rock, spoke to your dad. I did an interview with him too, Zoe, and I read about how your dad, I didn't know this before, but apparently it was your dad's idea to slide down the escalator in Dawn.
Yes, he has told me that. Yeah.
Yeah, that he was like, hey, George, what if I do this? And he was like, you got this? Okay, let's do it. And it's an iconic moment, that slide down the escalator. And similarly, I don't know. I mean, the Rogals, I mean, you just can't even get deeper than the Cardile Rogal line. It's honestly, my dad would say it's why his career was made. That helicopter in Night of the Living Dead was because of Chilly Billy. There would not have been a helicopter in Night of the Living Dead without that. And so I don't think my dad ever forgot that. He never lost gratitude for that. And so I don't know, it's like an instilled, transferred gratitude. And I love these three women so deeply. I am so grateful to all of you for doing this with me. And thank you for helping me keep his spirit alive. And I think that his message would be, it takes all kinds. It takes all there are assholes in the world, but it takes all kinds, and you got to stick together. And the breakdown of communication on a good day can lead to a crisis, but in the middle of a zombie apocalypse can really take down everybody. So we got to stick together, and families got to stick together. And I'm so grateful to have you as a family. And anyway, that's my sappy spiel.
It's so fun that you get to bring all this back around. It's been really fun.
Yeah, I think so.
It's been awesome.
I told you the hour would fly by super fast.
Flew by. You did tell us.
Yeah, and Zoe, I mean, I'm sure your dad knows, but your dad created like the ultimate goal for fans was to go to that JCPenney's and slide down the escalator.
I'm guilty as charged.
You did it?
What's that?
You said you did it? Oh yeah, okay.
I made a special trip to Monroeville in 2011 just to do it one last time.
One last time. Wow.
Yeah, I was
to the Monroeville Mall.
Yeah.
Never got to see it in real life.
Yeah, I was.
Oh, you got to come out, Zoe.
Yeah, I got to be in Penny's after it closed, before they demolished, for an entire day while the store was closed. And every time I had to go from the second to the first floor, I slid down the escalator. And I videotaped it multiple times. I said, I'm never going to be able to do this again. I have to do this. And that's all just because of your dad. And hey, what if I slide instead of run? Thanks, Scott.
But I think that also speaks to the atmosphere that George created. It was so collaborative and such like a family team dynamic. I know my dad speaks so fondly of that whole experience. And it was, like, your dad created an environment where my dad felt like he could take risks and do stuff and do his best work and be a little silly.
Yeah.
Oh, I love the Monroeville Mall. Shout out to Andy who worked at Abercrombie in like '98, because I think I stalked him all the time.
Oh God, Abercrombie.
Ugh, I never got it. I fucking hated Abercrombie, but I loved Andy.
Shout out to Andy.
Yeah, shout out to Andy.
Watching.
Andy, if you're watching, there you go.
There you go. Legend is there's still blood on the ceiling of Monroeville Mall. I don't know if that's true.
We found blood in the elevator at Penny's from filming when they were tearing it down. Yeah.
Whoa.
Yeah, there was, because there's the outer door and then the inner door. And in the one scene at the end of the film, when they shoot the one zombie, the blood splatter went right between the doors. And we just happened to be looking. We closed the outer doors, and there's just blood splatter everywhere. And Kevin at the Living Dead Museum still has those doors. We saved them.
Wow.
So fans can still see stuff like that. So that's what we like to do is, stuff like this is, when someone's not with us anymore, like George is, but getting these stories out was always important. When Eric and I started our podcast, was we want to hear this stuff. This is the side of the people that we see in interviews all the time that we don't get a chance to, and hearing it from the daughters. I just think it adds a different dimension and even a deeper appreciation for the work that your parents have done and the entertainment they've given us. Because it's not just the films and the gore and the effects and the acting. It's like we said, it's the community and the families we've created because of your parents' work. It's much more than just watching a movie. We found each other through these things, and I think we've all made each other better, and we've had better lives because of them.
Aw.
Yeah.
And speaking of family, I mean, we're absolutely passionate about what you guys have going on. And if you ever have anything you want to promote, reach out to us. We'd be happy to have you on again. Just let us know.
Yep, absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
You guys are awesome.
This is so fun.
Yeah, this is a blast.
Yeah.
We gotta have a meetup one day once this pandemic is over. We gotta.
Heck yeah.
So I was
Yeah.
saying that I didn't realize my mic was muted. But I don't know what was going on. But I was saying I would love. You're in New York, or I don't know where anybody is. But after a pandemic, I think we definitely have to get together, do a shoot or something. I mean, I don't really do any of that stuff, but it would be fun for us to have.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
like, at least just
For sure.
yeah.
So Katie and I are in New York. You're in
Okay.
the Berg.
I'm in the Berg.
Zoe's in San Fran.
Nice.
Or right outside. You're in Oakland.
Oh,
You're in Oakland. And Eric and Matt, you're in Pittsburgh, right? You're in the Berg.
I'm in Florida.
Oh, you're
actually.
in Florida.
Yeah, I'm in Hershey.
Have you done the Florida Man Google thing?
Yes, I'm aware of this.
How's
What is
how's
it? The
Florida?
Man
Is it
Google?
weird right now?
I'm actually in North Florida. I'm in Tallahassee, which is like 30 miles from Georgia. So we're more like Georgia than the beachy kind of communities. So, I mean, it's the capital, but it's super small college town. So we're not really experiencing anything wild right now. Not too bad.
I'm very
Well,
happy to be in California now, I have to say.
What was
All at the
that?
same time.
Very happy to be in California right now with everything that's going on. Wildfires aside, I love.
Sure.
I was gonna say it's one thing after another for you guys out in California. It's either an earthquake or a fire or something. You know, just I feel bad for my friends that live in California because it's always something they got to worry about.
Yeah. All right. Well, we're going to go ahead and say goodbye to Zoe. Tina, can you stick around for a minute? We have a couple of announcements to make. But Zoe and Kate and Leah, thank you so much for coming on. It was
Thank you,
amazing
ladies.
to have you.
Fun, sorry.
Thank you.
All right. We'll see.
I don't know what to do. Do I have to hang up?
Nope. Bye-bye.
Yeah.
Bye.
See ya.
Bye-bye.
Oh,
Okay.
so cute. I can't stand it. I'm just. That was so cute.
Well, before we wrap up, Tina, I did want to let's talk about the podcast. We do have one that's already available on iTunes and Spotify. If you go and search for the GARF Network, you can find the very first episode of Daughters of the Dead. Do you want to preview that a little bit, Tina?
Yeah. So, wow. Okay. So this first episode, so you just got to see a little bit from the three daughters that I started with, and the first one is with Katie. And let's see, what do I have to tell you about this episode? I think it's just a little bit more of what we did here tonight. It's us catching up and talking about. It's a little slice of life from the daughters of horror. And, my partner, LK, really brought it to another level with some awesome music. And this is my first foray into podcasting. So it's a little bit of a podcast from home scenario, but we're trying out here. And I hope that people get a little bit of a behind the scenes take on
you said you had a little bit of your father's skill set in your blood. I mean, I could tell right away listening to the intro of that podcast. It was very slick, especially if that's your first go. I mean, great job.
Yeah.
Did you recognize the words at the beginning of my podcast? Do you know what that's from? The words I was talking about? This is our family. This is our lot. Do you have them? I didn't prep you for this. I didn't.
No, go ahead. What, tell us.
No,
Reveal it.
I'm quoting Sondheim there.
Okay.
This is from my dad's favorite musical called Sunday in the Park with George.
Very cool.
Okay.
It's a song called Children and Art. And the concept of, he always said that Sunday in the Park with George was a musical that perfectly captured the journey of the artist, the journey and the struggle and the dilemma of the artist. I don't know if you guys are familiar with this musical, but it's about George Seurat, who was a painter, a pointillist painter. And he loved this. He loved this musical. And this particular song, Children and Art, is basically saying you leave two things behind when you go. You leave behind children and you leave behind art. My dad did both. And so I thought it was an appropriate intro to this podcast.
Absolutely. Man, amazing. I have a link at the bottom of the screen for the GARF official Patreon. And we invite everybody to check that out and subscribe. We have several levels of membership that you can subscribe at, but we actually have episode 2 and 3 of Daughters of the Dead already uploaded to the Patreon site. So that's going to be up there for a little bit. It'll eventually roll out to iTunes and Spotify, but for now it'll remain behind the Patreon wall as an early sneak preview.
Cool.
Yeah, no, you did a great job. It was super fun to listen to them and you know, for us to get to know these ladies, because this is a lot of our first exposure to Kate and Zoe and Leah, and like I said earlier, it's a nice to have a different perspective of someone rather than someone talking about them who is just meeting them and only knows their work. You ladies obviously know these people very personally, and I think it just endears us to them more. You know, we look at them differently. Like, you know, that was really cool, you know, about your dad and Tom doing magic tricks. Even I didn't know that. And I just thought that was, you know, it was super neat because we always see them on a business type level. And, you know, behind the scenes, you know, your dad always was doing something or Tom had something. And no, super fantastic work. And we really appreciate you doing that for the foundation. I think everyone's going to really enjoy those.
Well, I love doing it. And I learned a lot of stuff too. And I've just been interested in digging into the question of, you know, what would your parents say in a time as crazy as this? And, you know, what was it like growing up with people who don't necessarily adhere to the rules of the realm? You know, it's an interesting thing to grow up with artists. It is. It's an interesting thing to grow up with parents who don't necessarily have the stick to the typical 9-to-5 structure of life and who are kind of breaking the rules in some way. And I kind of think that's important right now. I think that we're in this day and age, I think COVID is really giving us an opportunity to rethink life and what's important. And I think we are at a turning point as a population, and we really got to wake up to what we want to do as people and where we want to go. And I don't know if Daughters of the Dead is the flame that's going to start all that, but I think it's good to have these conversations, and I hope that people like it. I hope that people can get a little something from it.
Again, it's amazing content. Everybody check out the iTunes, Spotify, or the Patreon. The link is on the screen right now, and you can check out episode 2 and 3 early. And so it sounds like you're just getting your feet wet, and you've got some more planned for the future, right, Tina?
I hope so. You know, I've got a couple of wish list people to interview. First of all, I'd love to, you know, I'm no Michael Barbaro yet, but I'd like to chop up my interviewing skills, and you know, on my list, I hope that I can talk to Cody Carpenter. I'd love to. Maybe I can even talk to Sofia Coppola one day. We'll see. But you know, I think that there is a certain kind of experience that's of value here, and we're all used to hearing the behind the scenes stories that we get told at conventions over and over. But I think there's a little bit more to be gleaned from the people who are in the house, growing up with the people making the art. just like what Leah said about how her dad, not spoiler alert, she talks a little bit about her dad's disciplinarian tactic, which was really based on tell me the truth. Tell me the truth always. I don't know. You get to hear a whole nother side to these people, and I hope that people who love their work can take something from that and enjoy it. And so we'll see where this goes. I hope it goes somewhere. And I think the GARF has got so much going on. We have so much good programming coming this way, and I'm so happy to contribute in this one little way.
Well, we'll have to get you back on again in the future. I think we've already asked you that a few times. We got to get you on. We got to get a date on the calendar here, though, and have you back. It'd be a lot of fun.
Yeah, anytime. I got some good George Romero stories up my sleeve for sure. Yeah,
can't wait. Okay, well, I think that wraps us up for tonight. I am Matt, or I am Eric,
and I'm definitely Matt.
And I'm Matt too.
We're all Matt.
We are all Matt.
You've been watching the GARF Network.